So the finance space here on YouTube is growing every single day, right? And sometimes it's difficult to weed through what's good and bad and pick out the ones that are genuine versus the ones who are just here to sell you a course or promote whatever course they have that is online on their website or on sale at the moment, right? But outside of the $10,000 Red Panda course or the $600 options course from Wall Street Trapper, there are other forms of financial content making its way onto the scene. And Caleb Hammer, if you don't know who that is, Caleb Hammer is one of the pioneers of what I would personally consider new era finance, okay? At least as far as the way he approaches his content. I mean, you could argue that Dave Ramsey was one of the first ever to post or to host financial audits on his channel. But even his content format is a lot different than what Caleb does on his channel. With Dave, there's usually a hotline sort of setup where listeners call in and give a quick rundown of their finances, and he sort of walks them through a very short consultation over the phone to try and help them come up with a plan to get their finances back on track. But Caleb actually has his guests come into a studio setup, right, for a face-to-face meetup, and he gives them advice after they reveal to the world how terrible they are with money. Some might call it exploitation, but again, nobody is forcing these people to come into the studio and to have their finances displayed in front of the world. Nobody is putting a gun to their head and saying, hey, you have to do this, right? Now, as a skeptic of generally everything I see in media, my first thought, I kid you not, my first thought when I saw this was, why in the world, I'm talking about Caleb's channel, by the way. First thought when I saw his channel was, why in the world would someone agree to publicly embarrass themselves on camera like this without some type of incentive? Which led me to one of two conclusions, okay? One of two conclusions. One, these people that are coming onto Caleb's show are only doing it because they're being paid to appear, so monetary gain, which isn't a crime, by the way. I want to make myself clear. It's not a crime, right? But the second conclusion that I came to was that these people that are coming onto Caleb's show are actors, and that these stories that they're telling are either made up or extremely over-exaggerated, in which case that would make the entire premise of the channel nothing more than a finance drama show where the videos were being carefully crafted and sensationalized to appeal to the viewer, which again, is not a crime, but is it disingenuous? Yes. Is it misleading? Also, yes. Now, as a viewer, does it take away from the entertainment value or aspect of it? For me, personally, it does, because now I have to question whether or not each guest you bring on to your channel is telling the truth or just selling the audience a bad story for the sake of shocking content. But this is just one of the many, many things that were revealed by one Scott Schaefer on his YouTube channel, where he did a special expose on y'all's favorite new era Dave Ramsey, right? And so if you don't know who Scott Schaefer is, he's kind of sort of like a, I guess you would call him a finance investigator, right? He's not quite like CoffeeZilla, though you can certainly see that the influence from CoffeeZilla is there and the similarities between the two channels is there. But Scott really first broke onto the scene with the established title scam, which I also covered way back when. It wound up being blowing up all over the internet because all of your favorite YouTubers had taken money to promote the established titles, right, on their channel as part of their, paid endorsement. You had people like Asmongold talking shit, basically trying to say it's not a big deal, etc. But this was the video that really shot his subscriber count into the stratosphere, right? Really just sent it off, right? And he's been on a run ever since. So shout out to him. But anyway, listen, let me bring you up to speed and get into why Caleb Hammer is probably one of the fakest people you've ever seen on YouTube and why he's a creep. All right, there's just no other way to put it. All right, and I want you all to keep this in the context. When someone is building out a YouTube channel, listen, it is difficult. I understand. And, you know, you're going to see in this video that Caleb does reveal that from the beginning, you know, his channel was sort of fake. You know, he hired actors to come on. But, you know, I don't know how many of his people or how many of his guests now are actually genuine people who need financial advice, or if they're just coming on just for the sake of content. I mean, they could be lying to him, which is it's not a discredit to him, because how would he know, right? But I'm just saying that for the sake of being an observer from the outside looking in, I take everything I see in social media with a grain of salt, right? As you all should. But let's get into Scott Schaefer's video on Caleb Hammer. And it uncovers some very, very interesting things. So let's get into it.
Caleb Hammer might sue me for this video, and that isn't clickbait at all. He's already threatened legal action against me multiple times before I even released this video, simply for looking into a story he doesn't want covered and not immediately accepting his point of view. Now, to me, that seems very suspicious and almost like Caleb didn't want me to find something. And spoiler alert, yes, I found some very interesting pieces of information we'll be discussing later in the video. Now, a few weeks ago, I was presented with some information that Caleb Hammer, a finance YouTuber with 1 million subscribers, had allegedly acted inappropriately with a guest on his show. I reached out to Caleb by email to get his side of the story, as these allegations were pretty severe, and I had no interest in making a video without getting everyone's side of the story. Caleb initially was very friendly over email and denied all the claims against him, and even told me to have a great day. What a nice young man. Unfortunately, that attitude quickly changed when I didn't immediately accept what he had to say as fact. He told me he wasn't interested in doing a Zoom call because he wasn't interested in participating in the internet drama industry, which I found to be quite funny since, in my opinion, his channel is entirely based on drama around other people's finances. He then made his first of many legal threats, stating that, in preparation for your video, we will be ready for legal repercussions for defamatory statements with very clear evidence proving our case. Now, keep in mind that
before we continue this, we're not going to watch all this. Obviously, his video was 32 minutes long. I'm going to try to cover the important bits here for the sake of time. But as we go into this, I am aware that people will try to destroy you and destroy your legacy and whatever it is that you've built when they're jealous, or when they get their feelings hurt, or where they feel like you haven't responded to them the way that they wanted you to. So I'm not a fool going into this, okay? And the person that ends up getting mentioned by Scott, whose name is Zeke, I do believe that it's very likely that Zeke could have been lying out of his ass, okay? He could have just been putting shit out here to see, throwing shit at a wall basically to see what sticks, okay? I'm aware of that. But there are some concerning things here that we still can focus on to discern that Caleb is it's a weird guy. Weird guy. Let's continue.
this was after I had sent him only 2 emails and was just trying to get the details around the initial case of inappropriate behavior I was first aware of. Threatening legal action so quickly in the initial fact-gathering stage without any video being made yet really set off my alarms that something odd was going on here. Why was Caleb so defensive about me looking into this case further? If the initial person who came forward was so obviously a liar, why quickly jump to legal threats against someone who was trying to tell a story that would present all sides equally? Caleb claimed that his lawyer had gathered all videos and text that clearly show his first accuser, Zeke, is lying and made the statement that they are prepared to release these. I asked in the follow-up email if I could see any of the evidence they'd gathered, including videos Zeke supposedly deleted, and even told Caleb directly that if he can prove to me Zeke is lying, I wouldn't make any video on this topic and would move on.
I just want to read this, cover this a little bit. You see this exchange here between Scott and Caleb. Scott basically is asking, like, as he just said, could you link him to the videos? You said your lawyers have all his videos. Can you link me to one of his videos that's on his channel? or the one that you deleted that basically proves that he's a liar. If you can prove to me he is lying, then obviously I won't make a video about this. Caleb responds and says, you watched the video where he says he's doing it just for the drama and you don't think he's lying. You looked into his past posts and see that he changes allegations multiple times and you don't think he's lying. Of course, I deny touching him. The voice memo has context that I've given 1,000. Okay, it's your job to look into things, not mine. I'm not giving you anything for you to use for clicks. Which is understandable because you're trying to do an expose on me. So why would I give you any ammunition? Enjoy your ad revenue, my dude. You're going to be beyond embarrassed platforming someone who has literally bragged about lying about these allegations and tried to have me killed. This is gross. Well, the gross part, my boy, the gross part is yet to come. Stay tuned, y'all. The gross part is coming up, I assure you.
Caleb responded upset for some reason that I asked for the evidence that 2 emails before he had said he was prepared to release. I don't understand why Caleb would get mad at me for asking to see the evidence he already stated he gathered and was prepared to release. To me, that seemed like a fairly basic request, and as I stated to Caleb before, if the evidence was as strong as he suggested, I would have never made a video covering any of this. Following all this, Caleb decided to publicly post to his community tab and Twitter a long post claiming I was just a drama YouTuber and questioning my integrity. He then happily responded to one post on Twitter saying, "I'm excited. I've never sued anyone before. This will be fun." Lawsuits are never fun, Caleb. It doesn't matter if you win or lose, you'll be devoting countless hours to fighting the case, and eventually the discovery process will take place, where lawyers dig through every document they can get their hands on and uncover every and any secret currently hidden. I've also spoken to lawyers about this case, and you clearly would be classified as a public figure. If you sued me for defamation, you would have to prove actual malice, that I knew information presented in the video was false and posted it anyway.
All right, so that's the premise of this, okay? Basically, Scott is saying, listen, I found some information. Somebody came forward, presented me with some information about you that is pretty off the wall, all right? Caleb responds and says, listen, the guy who contacted you, Zeke, is off the wall, and he's lying, okay? He's a liar. That's what he's known as. He said he's a liar before in other videos. Why would you ever go forth and with this content and try to put this out here? You're basically going to embarrass yourself because eventually it's going to come out that this dude was just getting his clicks and his clout up, right? Well, I told y'all what happens when you get on the internet. Listen, y'all have a digital footprint is a thing. Digital footprint, whatever you do, okay, digitally, is being recorded and documented somewhere on this earth. You have to know that. You have to understand that. The things that are discovered when you were basically a nobody is really a testament to who you really are at your core. At your core, that's really who you were. Before the 1 million followers, before the 1 million subs, right? The videos and the information that comes out about you before you had the clout, before you had the notoriety, that's at your core who you really were. So I want y'all to keep that in mind as we go forward, and all your little Caleb, all the little Caleb fanboys, you can flock to the comments like everybody else. I really don't give a fuck. Welcome. If you're new here, it's something that you're going to learn quickly. But welcome to the channel. Let's continue.
Seeing as how I've given you multiple attempts to talk to me about the issue discussed in the video, as well as do everything in my power to verify it's accurate, I think that would be a very hard case for you to win. In my opinion, any lawsuit you file would just be a sad attempt to try and get revenge for not portraying you in the positive light you want everyone to see you in. Your sudden legal threats for simply asking questions will also portray you in a negative light if you do end up suing me, and any lawsuit you file will simply be a waste of time. But that's just my opinion, and Caleb can do whatever he feels needs to be done going forward. Now that we've got past all of Caleb's legal threats, let's get into the actual allegations against Caleb. First, we'll be talking about the original accuser of Caleb, named Zeke, and then we'll talk about the further alleged text of Caleb I was given after. What many people don't know is that many of the early guests on Caleb Hammer's show were actually paid actors hired off of a website known as Backstage to appear on the show. Zeke was one of the actors that claims to have found out about Caleb's show from the site, and from the listing Zeke showed me, the offer was quite generous, with an initial small $25 appearance fee, and then a 25% commission on all rev.
I want to read this. just to give you guys a closer view of what was happening. So he says, I would love to discuss having an upcoming episode of our show feature you. As stated in the description, this is a reality TV education focused shoot. It should not take more than a few hours. We will provide $25 an hour for the shoot and a 25% commission on all revenue generated from the episode for 12 months. That's not a bad deal. Honestly, that's not a bad deal. We are anticipating this commission to range from anywhere from $2,500 to $8,000, depending on video performance. Says, are you okay with being filmed in a reality show environment? Able to be in Austin, Texas on the day of the shoot. So that's basically how how Caleb's team reached out to Zeke to start this back and forth exchange between the two.
Revenue generated from the episode for 12 months. Anticipated commission was believed to range from $2,500 to $8,000 depending on video performance. Zeke, only 19 at the time, jumped at the chance to make to him what seemed like a large sum of money. Many people have seen Zeke's episode, have called him an insufferable brat and way worse things, but don't seem to understand that the attitude portrayed by Zeke isn't true to his normal personality from what I've seen talking to him, and was designed to get as many views as possible to increase his chance of making more money and getting more screen time. This tactic ended up working, and Zeke appeared 2 more times on the Caleb Hammer show, racking up a total of over 1 million views across the 3 episodes he appeared. Those view totals should have netted him a large sum of money if the commission payments seen in the job offer were paid. However, Zeke's claimed to have only received a couple $100s in total for his time on the show. Caleb no longer offers commission payouts on his newer postings for actors on his show, and since he won't talk to me and threatened to sue me, I can't give his side of the story if the commission offer to Zeke was real or if those payments were ever made, so for now Caleb's side of the story on that will have to remain a mystery. There is an old posting I have linked below that shows that commission offer, but I've never heard of any of the actors who appeared on the show receiving that amount. If you were one of the actors who did get those payments, I would love to hear from you, and my email is linked below.
Alright, yeah, it's coming up.
While the issue of the alleged missing payments is important, the bigger issue came up in July of 2022 after Zeke's first appearance on the show, when Caleb ended up leaving a very disturbing audio message on Zeke's phone.
Can tell you're a cool dude, and I want to, if there's any connections that I have, which I've built a lot of connections in Austin, anything that I'm able to kind of link you to, I definitely want to be helpful. The main reason I haven't wanted to have this conversation via text is...
Okay, so let me get you all caught up to speed really quickly for anybody confused. So obviously you see the name there, it says Caleb. This is Caleb, and this is the exchange that he's having back and forth with Zeke. Well, he leaves an audio message because he does not feel comfortable with leaving what it is he's about to say right now in a text message, which is weird because I don't know why you would instead choose to leave an audio footprint versus a digital text message, which is actually worse, right? Because listen, with a text, you could say somebody else typed that, how you know it was me, right? But with the audio message, it's really kind of difficult. It's really difficult for you to say that's not my voice, right? With an audio message, the believability from that, okay, as far as evidence is concerned, is a lot more damning in this situation than it would be if you had just typed out the message. But Caleb didn't feel comfortable with that. And so he says this.
Sorry, I had to burp. One, I'm not used to OnlyFans. Straight up. It's not really my scene. I'm a personal finance dude. I don't really know anything about that. Two, I'm straight. I'm 90% straight. I've definitely fooled around because I'm open-minded. And when you get drunk, whatever. But, and this is a man-on-man thing. But essentially, I think, from the conversation I had with him, the pay will be dependent on what you're willing to do, and what you're willing to do is set by you. So what he would like to do, you guys make out. He would like to do that. What he would like you guys to do, him fill you up. He would like to do that. You can say no about any of these. he would like to play with your dick. And see, that's why I didn't want to type this out either, because that's like weird for me to say. I don't, it's not like we're friends or anything, but that's what he wants to do. He wants to give you a blowjob. I was also told and confirmed with him that your face would be hidden.
Let's pause it right there, okay? Y'all heard what this man just said. Listen, I have people in my circle that I have been connected to for decades, okay? And my personal close circle, I have people that I have been connected to for 20, 30 years, all right? Let me tell y'all what I'm not about to do. I am not about to try and levy any type of situation for my closest friends. I am not about to try and levy a homosexual meetup for OnlyFans, even if they were homosexuals, even if they were gay. I'm not doing it. You do that. You can talk to them. I don't need to be the middleman for this. That's not strange to y'all? 90% my ass. 90% my ass.
Blurred out and hidden, your identity would be hidden. And then if you wanted to give a blowjob, you could. Again, you would make more from that.
Let me get y'all caught up, okay? So what has happened is this person that Caleb initially reached out to, apparently, I don't know if the deal broke apart. I don't know if it just didn't go through, if it worked out. Apparently, some other opportunity came up between someone that Caleb knows and Zeke. Basically, for his friend, he was reaching out to Zeke, asking him if he wanted to participate in a OnlyFans content video, okay? And I guess Caleb is being the middleman of this. Now, as the middleman, I do not know why you would need to disclose or discuss your own sexuality. That has no importance of this because you're just a middleman. You're just essentially, you're just brokering a deal. So why is it that you feel the need to say what percentage you are straight or gay? Why should it matter, right? But it just goes on, and we're going to see how strange this gets.
And, he would eat your butt. And you would make more for that. You can say no as well. You could top him, he could top you. Whatever you're willing to do comes with more money. But you could literally do nothing. You could literally just lay back and let him just touch you for the video. And I guess for some reason his subscribers love that. And you'd get paid for it. So really, that's what it is. And, there's things that I don't feel comfortable talking about in this kind of situation, and I'd be happier to talk over in person. Maybe I'm just that kind of person.
You weren't comfortable talking about it, or you weren't comfortable texting it, but you were comfortable leaving an audio message saying all of these things to another man? Okay, buddy.
So you just let me know what you think.
When that audio message was first leaked, a lot of people claimed it was fake, and in 2024, with advancement in AI voice cloning technology, I understand why some people believed that. However, despite that, Caleb has confirmed on his Reddit, as well as in emails to me, that the voicemail you heard is 100% him, and he makes no claim to it being altered in any way. What is disputed about that voice message is why it was left, with Caleb and Zeke having very different stories. Zeke talked about doing OnlyFans modeling on his first appearance on the show and wanted help to grow on Twitch and OnlyFans from Caleb. Caleb's version of events was that he was simply trying to help Zeke out by connecting him with another guy to hook up with and make money from adult content on OnlyFans. After talking to Zeke, he made it clear to me that he only ever wanted to fuck bitches and get money. Talking to him further, I asked him why Caleb seemed so interested in trying to hook him up with a guy on OnlyFans, and asked Zeke if he led Caleb on into thinking he was interested in doing adult content with other men, which he quickly denied. Zeke said that the reason Caleb kept pushing the gay OnlyFans content when Zeke only wanted to work with women was because Zeke believed this was an attempt by Caleb to hook up with him instead. Interestingly enough, the only piece of evidence Caleb sent me to support his claim actually supports Zeke's claim that he never wanted to do hardcore content or ever brings up doing content with men, saying he was only interested in softcore, lewds, and solo work. I'm not sure why Caleb sent this as evidence to support his claim, as it makes it clear Zeke wasn't interested in the hardcore content Caleb went into detail about in the voicemail, so I'm really confused as to why Caleb sent me this.
Okay, so listen, this is definitely weird, okay? It's weird energy, but listen, you do what you want to in your own life. You're more than welcome and free to be as gay as you want with whoever you want, as long as it's consensual. But that word consensual, y'all. Oh, that word consensual. Let's get to that, shall we? So eventually, Scott's video goes on and he brings up more damning evidence against Caleb. And he eventually gets to a point in the video where Caleb is having some discourse through a chat with several other individuals, male individuals, okay? And this particular piece of information is where things start to become and start to dabble in the gray area for Caleb Hammer. What an appropriate name. It seems that Caleb I'm not gonna do that. Maybe I will. But let's continue. I want to cut to the point. I want to cut to the part in the video where Scott basically introduces this new information.
We can talk about it if you want. I'm just saying, it's very clear to me that this Zeke guy is full of shit, based on all the stuff that we're seeing here. That's all I have to say, dude.
Zeke's story has been talked about by a few channels now, and if it were just Zeke's claims about Caleb, I probably wouldn't cover this story, since Zeke's claims have already been told several times before, and unfortunately for him, his past actions make him look untrustworthy in the eyes of many who see him. I ended up talking to a few friends and several other YouTube creators as well, and one thing that was brought up was that if there was any truth to Zeke's story, Caleb has probably acted inappropriately in the past as well. Someone who would so brazenly do what Zeke claims he did would have other skeletons in his closet. It didn't take long for another source to come forward, and I was contacted on Twitter by a former friend of Caleb who had known him for years. He went into detail about their history, and while I have to keep most of his initial message private so as not to dox him, his final paragraph paints Caleb in a very bad light. I share all of this with you to say that everything I know about Caleb, based on years of experience and communication with him, tells me that any of these allegations made against him are true. He believes wholeheartedly in his superiority.
Okay, I don't care about what you feel about Caleb Hammer, honestly, because this is just an opinion, right? I want to get to the facts. I want to get to the details. So give me 1 second, y'all.
Caleb ended up joining a group known as the Millennium Composers Initiative. This group was created to bring young composers from around the world together so they could share ideas and foster growth for each other's musical careers. Caleb is still in this group to this day, and you can find his picture on their Instagram page and website. However, he no longer seems to be an active member since his finance YouTube channel took off. This group eventually started a Facebook group chat for its members to talk about their musical careers, as well as other topics, and it's from this chat that the alleged texts from Caleb come from. The source of the text, who asked me to conceal his identity, explains to what extent he believed the group was for.
We felt, or at least I got the impression, that we had very clearly agreed that it was a professional chat, and that we had professional friendships, and that we were approaching it in that way. We did not really touch on topics like that. But
I'm gonna tell y'all right now, the chat that you are about to witness, there was nothing professional about it.
much.
The topics that he felt were inappropriate are what we're going to be focusing on. The first one that made several people uncomfortable was Caleb's comments about finding a 16-year-old boy hot. Now in this chat group, everyone has nicknames instead of their actual name being used. I was told that Caleb picked many of these nicknames, but a few were picked by other members. Caleb was allegedly known as Super Ho Diddly Ho. So the user known as Has Sex All the Time says, "What's this hit beat you got playing?" Super Ho responds with, "Smoking is gross." Uncut responds with, "So is saying that 15-year-old boys are hot." Dancing says, "Oh damn." Super Ho responds with, "16." Uncut says, "Doesn't make your case any better." Super Ho responds with, "Haha, thinking from a picture is cute isn't bad. I don't think the person was cut because they are young. He had facial hair. Like, come on." Uncut says, "Why screenshot?" because Super Ho had taken a picture of this guy's Snapchat of his 16-year-old friend. And Super Ho says, "He hot, is gay, please." Uncut says, "He's 16 and no, effing perv." Super Ho responds with, "Shame." Uncut says, "What was the age of consent in Michigan?" Super Ho says 16. Uncut says Texas is 17. And Super Ho says, "Shame." This is the message I sent to Caleb to confirm if they were real, which is when he replied that they were very out of context. I asked the informant if there was more context to the story, which he replied.
What part of that was out of context? What part of that chat, what part of that exchange was out of context for y'all? Somebody let me know. What part of that was out of... Listen, bro, Caleb, just come on, man. Come on out the closet, buddy. Come on out the closet, fam. Come on out of the closet, bro. It's okay, all right? It's the modern age. It's the modern era. There are plenty of people that have come out. It's your turn. Because you are definitely more than 90%. Definitely. I'm sorry. You're definitely less than 90% straight. But let's continue.
Why that there wasn't. To give a little bit more context, I reached out to Caleb for comment on this. He said this was taken very out of context, didn't give me any other info around that. So just anything you know around this particular incident.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that he'd say that, particularly because I'm not sure there's any more context out of which it could be taken. That is the extent of the context surrounding this, was that the friend with the nickname Uncut posted this picture of his friend who was 16 years old, was posting him as a part of posting. He posted the photo to congratulate him and to express gratitude for him. And that's, I mean, that's it. That's the context. And then Caleb saw his story on Snapchat and took that screenshot. And it was at that point that Uncut questioned it, and the rest of it takes place here in this group chat. There's no other context out of which it could have been taken.
Now, I do have to say, since Caleb has threatened to sue me, that 16-year-olds are actually at the legal age of consent in some states, including Caleb's home state of Michigan, so maybe he doesn't think anything is wrong with saying a 16-year-old boy is hot. Despite that, it seems a lot of people, myself included, think that it's inappropriate for a then 23-year-old Caleb to say things like that. It made members of the group uncomfortable, and just last year, the influencer known as Just Pearly Things made a similar tweet saying 16-year-olds are hotter than 26-year-olds. For a brief moment in time,
that chick is weird. That chick is weird too. But y'all bought into that, and y'all love Just Pearly Things.
Left and right came together and made it very clear they felt that was an inappropriate comment, which eventually led to that influencer removing that tweet. There have been a number of Caleb supporters who have been defending him this entire time, and I would love to hear in the comments below if the Caleb fans are supporters of grown men saying 16-year-old boys are hot, or if you think adults shouldn't be commenting on the hotness of kids. Now, that wasn't the only time Superho made comments about teenage boys. In another post, it made it clear that Superho has no qualms about his desire for those young teenage boys. So in these chat messages, Superho posts a picture of another member's Instagram page that shows a young boy, and he asks whose the guy's name is, and the other guy gives him his name, which I blocked out, and then Uncut says Caleb's boy crush, and Superho responds with, I would like to personally stick my penis in a hole of his. Any hole will do, thank you. Uncut responds with gross, and Superho responds with hot, let me. Uncut responds with dude, he's like 14. Superho responds with nah, probably around the other MCI member's age, if they were there with him. Later, Superho says, and if 17, it's legal there, it is here. Uncut responds with, Caleb, you're 23, that's gross. Superho says, not really, what I'm 50 and I find a sexy 21-year-old, I could be a sugar daddy, I will do it, or her sugar daddy. Has sex all the time responds with a confused or upset meme. And then Superho says, both my grandparent sets are 10 years apart, 6 years is nothing. I would shove that cock right down his throat where it belongs. Uncut responds with, it's something if they're underage. Superho says anything under 16 is. Believe it or not, 17 is not under 16. Has sex all the time responds with another meme. Uncut then says, still not an adult. Superho says, I fucked too many people when I was not an adult. Uncut says, just trying to save you from trouble. Superho says, if something is not against the law, there would be no trouble. Uncut responds with, I mean you do you and do those boys. And Superho responds with, I do. As you can see from the...
All right, man. Listen. I don't know. Caleb, I don't know any other way to say this, bro. Listen, y'all. At the end of the day, I don't really care what Caleb Hammer identifies as, it has nothing to do with me. I just thought that it was pretty interesting and pretty weird and pretty gross that he was potentially looking at young boys. Let's be real. 15 to 16 is really still a young boy. Okay, really at 17 you're still a young boy because you don't know shit. But I just found it weird and just off-putting. All right, that Caleb, who is someone who classified himself as 90% straight, would come out and say these things about another young man, again, who we don't know because it's not confirmed what his age was. We hear 16, we hear 17, we don't know, right? I also live in Michigan, all right? So the legal age here is 16 of a consenting adult. However, we don't know if the kid was 16 or not. And beyond that, it's just weird for a 23-year-old to be looking at a 16-year-old or 15-year-old boy and saying that, man, I want to stick my penis in one of his holes. Y'all, listen. Oh, man. Y'all have to watch who y'all follow, man. Y'all got to watch who y'all put all y'all faith in, who y'all give all y'all attention to, and who y'all think is out here for y'all. Caleb's channel has really transformed and morphed from what it was, which was a guy seemingly wanting to help people out of the goodness of his heart. And it has morphed into basically an expose on just slaughtering and bashing people that come on now and their financial situations, because he's found that gets the views, that gets the clicks up, right? But y'all let me know what y'all think about this entire weird case. Caleb Hammer is definitely a weirdo, and I will not be consuming any more of his content. And I'm interested to see what you all think about this entire thing. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.
Everything is worse when we lead with the sword. I can only judge by your heart, what your mouth say. With a grain of salt, I'ma take it for your mouth's sake. Niggas follow greed, ain't no seeds being planted. Cause people never learn till they feel